7 in the morning. Iced up time. Let's go. Turning on some motivational speech. And then I'm jumping in.
I've had some failures in front of a lot of people.
3 minutes.
But I didn't mind that because you grow from that, you know.
I think part of learning is dying. I think part of learning is you gotta die. Because what is learning? Learning is me giving up on my old ideas. And those ideas have to die for me to grow.
Ooh, wait. Oh, that's the morning routine right there. Oh, that's my favorite way to wake up, guys. Oh, the alarm goes. I wake up, get my towel, I walk down to the ice tub. Oh, so it's a shock. Like the champion now, undefeated for a long time. So what about undisputed versus undisputed? And they said one thing. I love it.
Wow.
Okay, let's do it. So they started talking to Alexander about the whole idea. He loved the idea, so they made it work. And now we're here.
Would it be fair to say that the idea of fighting Usyk, given who he is and his current resume, interested you more than AJ?
100%.
Yeah.
The fight versus Anthony Joshua was also super exciting, but he's like a totally different fighter.
Sure.
And Alexander Usyk is the Rico Verhoeven in boxing.
Yeah.
So like he's been dominating for so long and in such phenomenal fashion. So I was like, wow, if we could do this,
than a sport. And I think Usyk's probably gonna wash Rico, but hey, you never know. Francis walked in there, knocked down Tyson, jiggled his balls in his face, and ended up almost beating him. So yeah, I'll watch this. It's an entertainment fight. It's a crossover fight. And while I think that Alexander Usyk has bigger fish to fry in the heavyweight division, when KBL is a mandatory, I thought, for Alexander Usyk, there is, for other sanctioning bodies like the WBO, you have Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois. You have that fight about to happen, so the winner of that is going to, I thought, fight Usyk. And then you have Tyson Fury waiting in the wings. There's Moses Italma waiting in the wings. There's a lot of odd stuff happening here with the sanctioning bodies. And I'm going to tell you this now. This is what leaves a sour taste in my mouth.
The boxing world just went completely insane. Oleksandr Usyk is about to defend his heavyweight title against a kickboxer. Not just any kickboxer, Rico Verhoeven. And this isn't some exhibition. This is a sanctioned WBA title defense.
They already are digging their own graves with stuff like this. They are digging their own graves, because the more they do stuff like this, Rico Verhoeven, no reason, no business he should be fighting for a heavyweight championship in boxing. Yes, in kickboxing, very different. Him coming over and fighting for this, and essentially his second boxing match, Rico fought a guy named Janos Finfera and knocked him out cold. I mean, like I said, it's a crossover fight. If you want to say, like, look at what all Usyk has done for the heavyweight division. He fought the best of the best. He ran laps around the division, so he deserves a fun fight. That's fine. I don't really have any problem with that. I didn't have a problem with watching Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. I said, you know what? I'm excited for the fight. I'll watch the fight. I'm excited.
Let me break down how wild this actually is. Usyk turned down Anthony Joshua to fight a guy who's never had a professional boxing match. The undisputed heavyweight champion of the world just chose the kickboxing route instead.
Boy. But AJ's not Alexander Usyk, right? I mean, where AJ isn't where Alexander Usyk is. Alexander Usyk's the #1 heavyweight in the world, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. AJ, this stage of his career, certainly isn't that. So I guess it makes the matchup appear even more strange. Look, I like the idea of going to Egypt, by the way. I think it's good when boxing goes to different places in the world. I think these are events that you remember. There was some talk about Alexander Usyk signing with Zuffa. I prayed and had my fingers crossed that it was going to be Alexander Usyk versus Agit Kabayel. Now, some of you And some of you might be right here. You're like, oh, 1 second.
Here's where it gets even crazier. They're doing this fight in front of the pyramids in Egypt. We're talking about a cinematic backdrop that looks like something out of Mortal Kombat. The optics alone are absolutely insane.
Will be defending his WBA title versus a kickboxer, Rico Verhoeven, in May 23rd, I believe, in Egypt, at the pyramids. Now, we've had a history. It's an entertainment business, right? And I know there'll be people that are gonna say that, you know, they're gonna be pros and cons about it. My feeling is, look, Usyk has earned the right to take a one-off, if you want to call it that. And just like everyone else is taking a shot at doing that, he's earned the right. He's fought everybody. And he has put himself now into that status where he can be called one of the great heavyweights of all time. He's earned that. He's fought everyone. Olympic gold.
But listen to what the experts are actually saying. Wade Plemons called this pure entertainment-driven boxing. He's leaning heavily toward Usyk dominating, but admits surprises happen. Remember Francis Ngannou dropping Tyson Fury? Yeah, that changed everything.
I think what makes this a little bit different to me is that the WBA is sanctioning it as a title defense for Usyk. That makes it a little bit different. There's going to be some people who are going to say, well, that, you know, it's not fair to some of the heavyweights out there, professional heavyweights that are not kickboxers, that are heavyweights, professional boxers, and they deserve a shot. But for a guy who's a kickboxer and who has had one professional boxing match, he's 1-0 against the guy that, who knows. But, so I can understand that. But I can't get mad at Usyk with the way that he's conducted his career in and out of the ring. And as I said, he's fought everybody. But I do understand that the WBA that's a little different, that they're allowing it to be for...
Teddy Atlas dropped some serious knowledge here. He said Usyk has earned the right to take this fight after cleaning out the entire division. Olympic gold, undisputed cruiserweight champ, conquered heavyweight. The man's resume is bulletproof.
This is, to me, I understand if you're a boxing fan, this is why on earth would you care about this? But as someone who comes from the more MMA side, and kickboxing is closer to MMA as a community, as a culture, than it is the boxing side of things. I'm not saying that kickboxing is not closer to boxing in terms of the techniques used as a sport. It's in a ring, there's similar kinds of gloves, you know, there's no takedowns, blah, 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 but culturally, kickboxing is closer to MMA, which is why I think you're seeing some of this split reaction, but I don't really mind it as a fight. I don't have a strong reaction one way or the other. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. But we should talk about this for a second. First of all, Alexander Usyk, 39. The last time he fought, I think it was July of 2025 when he beat Dubois in the rematch. Rico, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I've been following closely his glory career. I've seen obviously some of the bigger fights he's been in, Badr Hari. You know, obviously he fought Errol Zimmerman.
But here's the kicker. Atlas pointed out the real problem. This is being sanctioned as an actual title defense. That means legitimate heavyweight contenders like Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois are sitting on the sidelines watching a kickboxer get a title shot.
Really big names up and down, and has obviously an incredible career, but I can't pretend that I've been following it closely. 36 years old. What is interesting about this is that you'll recall the UFC wanted to sign him and he wanted to go box instead. Well, this is what that is. I don't know what the UFC offered him. Surely it cannot be what Turkey is offering him. And I gotta say, you know, for Usyk, he gets something of an easy payday. For Verhoeven, he gets a payday off of a fight against an opponent that I would have thought he never would have gotten. I mean, if your choice is fighting Usyk for what I'm going to guess could be a 7 or 8 figure payday, depending on how this goes, you know, or a fraction of that against some kind of UFC heavyweight before you even get a title shot.
That's it for today's.
Azealia Banks went even harder on this. She straight up said Anthony Joshua isn't even operating on Usyk's level anymore. Called Usyk the #1 heavyweight in the world and already an all-time great. That's when you know the skill gap is massive. Luke Thomas brought up something interesting from the MMA perspective. He said kickboxing shares more culture with MMA than boxing, which explains why fight fans are split on this. Some love it, Others think it's destroying the sport. Now let's talk about what Rico Verhoeven is actually walking into. The guy starts every morning with ice baths, trains relentlessly, and genuinely believes he can shock the world. His team chose Usyk over Anthony Joshua because they want the undisputed champion. Here's the reality check nobody wants to hear. Verhoeven might be taller and heavier than Usyk, but size means nothing against a guy who's been perfecting his craft for decades. This is professional boxing at the highest level versus kickboxing fundamentals. The financial angle makes perfect sense, though. Easy payday for Usyk, massive opportunity for Verhoeven, and global exposure that boxing desperately needs. But is this good for the sport or just pure spectacle? So here's my question for you. Is Usyk smart for taking an easy defense, or is he damaging boxing by giving a title shot to someone who hasn't earned it? And honestly, what are the chances Verhoeven actually pulls off the upset of the century? Drop your predictions in the comments, smash that like button if this breakdown opened your eyes, and subscribe because this division is about to get even crazier. I'll see you in the next one.